Welcome back, guys. I'm Mark Wong, and today we are in the tech room, your trusty companion for all things tech. Whether you're a tech enthusiast looking for the latest innovations or a casual user seeking honest reviews, you've come to the right place. Join us as we dive deep into the realm of gadgets, gaming consoles, PCs, and more. In this video, we will be showing you how to avoid overspending when building your gaming rig. What if I told you that a more affordable gaming build can perform up to 70% faster when it comes to gaming? Well, sometimes a more expensive PC isn't always better. Now, why does this happen? Well, this is the case if you spend too much on components. To help you out, here are a few tricks to get you the best value for money gaming rig that prioritizes performance. To help you further, there are timestamps and direct links to all the products in the description below. So let's get started. Tip number 1, do research. When you're building a PC, you have to make sure all the parts you're picking out are compatible. For example, you wouldn't want to grab a motherboard that your CPU can't even plug into, right? That would cost you around $100 to $500 depending on the model. And then there's bottlenecking. Say you splurge on this high-end graphics card, but then you skimp on the CPU. That's going to hold back your powerhouse of a GPU because the processor can't keep up with the graphics card's pace. While it will technically run the game, you aren't utilizing the GPU's full potential, which is pretty much a waste of money and a good graphics card. Why? You'll be experiencing lag, stutters, and FPS loss. However, this can also happen if you're getting a top-of-the-line CPU and pairing it with a low-end card. As a rule of thumb, when gaming, prioritize your GPU and then get a CPU that won't bottleneck it. On top of that, RAM that is incompatible with your motherboard could mean a waste of around $100, requiring you to buy new RAM that matches your motherboard specifications. There's also power supply inefficiency, which happens if your power supply doesn't provide enough wattage for your components, particularly high-end GPUs or CPUs. If this happens, that's another $50 to $150 down the drain. In terms of a storage mismatch, let's say you purchase an NVMe SSD, but your motherboard only supports SATA connections. You might need to buy an adapter or a new motherboard, which could cost from $25 to several $100s. When it comes to the physical side of things, buying a GPU, CPU cooler, or power supply that doesn't physically fit in your case could mean replacing the case or the part itself, potentially wasting $50 to $200. Tip number 2, determine your gaming needs first, then decide on a GPU. Speaking of prioritizing your GPU, do not overkill your graphics card. Let's say you play online games with light graphics such as Minecraft, Dota 2, or Counter-Strike, and you're playing on 1080p, for example. A high-end graphics card would be overkill since you won't be utilizing it to its full potential. That being said, it's best to have an FPS goal in mind with the games you'll be playing and consider the resolution you'll be playing in, whether it be 1080p, 2K, or 4K. Playing at high resolutions would require a higher end graphics card. So this is the same case if you're targeting around 240 frames per second. On top of that, it's also best to make a list of GPUs. You want to buy and take a look at some YouTube videos to figure out how they perform in your preferred games. This gives you a good idea of what you're getting into. Of course, you might also want to consider its ray tracing features, power consumption, driver updates, and more. But if you only care about pure performance, then the frame rate is what you want to be focusing on. Tip number 3, branding isn't everything. Just because a PC component sports a fancy brand name doesn't always mean it's the best choice for your rig. Sometimes you're paying extra just for the brand's rep or some flashy features you'll never use. For example, buying a high-end cooling system or a top-of-the-line SSD or motherboard doesn't mean better graphics and frame rates. What really matters is the performance, which only the GPU and CPU bring. What's also important is that no other components are bottlenecking. Tip number 4, a high-end CPU cooler isn't always necessary. Because you're just gaming on a Ryzen 5 or an Intel i5, a high-end liquid cooler isn't essential because these mid-range CPUs don't generate the same amount of heat as their more powerful counterparts like the Ryzen 9 or Intel i9 series. These processors often come with their own stock coolers that are adequate for standard use, and unless you're planning to overclock significantly, the stock cooler should keep temperatures within safe limits. Spending extra on a high-end liquid cooling system would be an unnecessary cost for a setup that doesn't produce enough heat to justify the expense. This is unless you have a really high budget and want to focus more on aesthetics. In most cases, a good quality air cooler would be more than enough to maintain optimal temperatures for a Ryzen 5 or i5 during gaming sessions. Tip number 5, 32 gigabytes of RAM is more than enough. When it comes to gaming, Hitting that sweet spot for RAM is key, and right now that's between 16 to 32 gigabyte. This range gives you plenty of space for today's games, which are designed to run smooth within this memory bracket, and it also allows for background applications to run without a hitch. As of this day and age, 16 gigabytes of RAM is fine for gaming, while 32 gigabytes allows you to run other programs as you play. On top of that, 32 gigabytes of RAM is relatively cheap nowadays, which is why we recommend it. But here's the deal, loading up on more than 32 gigs of RAM for a gaming focus rig is overkill. Most games won't use the extra memory, so you'd be spending money on power you won't really tap into, and that cache could beef up other parts of your PC or save you some bucks. Only go for more than 32 gigabytes of RAM if you're a pro content creator or if you are using heavy software applications professionally. Tip number 6, do not overspend on your PC case. If you're all about that sleek look and want your setup to be a showstopper, then yeah, you might drop some extra cash on a case with killer aesthetics. But if you're not fussed about the looks and just want a solid gaming experience, then any case with good airflow will do the trick. Good airflow means your components stay cool, which is what really matters for performance and longevity. So as long as the case isn't choking your hardware, you're good. Now, for the sake of argument, let's try to compare the prices of a value for money high-end PC build with one you overspent with. For our value for money high-end build, we have a LANCOOL 216 RW ICL case, a DeepCool LS720SA liquid cooler, an AMD Ryzen 7800 X3D, ASUS TUF Gaming TF120, ARGB CASIS fans, a Zotac Gaming GeForce RTX 4070 Super, an ASRock B650 Pro RS motherboard, a Seasonic Focus GX1000 power supply, CORSAIR Vengeance RGB Pro 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a 2TB Kingston KC3000 SSD without the discount. It amounted to $1,977. Now for our overpriced build, we chose a CORSAIR iCUE 7000X case, a CORSAIR H100X liquid cooler, an AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D processor, an MSI Ventus GeForce RTX 4060 Ti GPU, a Gigabyte B650 AORUS Elite AX motherboard, cooler MasterFans, a CORSAIR RMA series, 1200 watt PSU, 64 gigabytes of Kingston Fury Beast RAM, and a Samsung 990 Pro 2TB SSD. Without the discount, it amounted to $2,357. Keeping these two prices in mind, let's get to the heart of the topic, performance. Does the more expensive build perform better in gaming? Well, no. In gaming, you can expect our value build to perform up to 70% better. Why? Well, despite our overpriced build being equipped with a Ryzen 9 7950X3D processor, 64 gigabytes of RAM, and a 1200 watt power supply, this isn't anything significant when it comes to games, thus making the processor and RAM performance virtually similar to our value build. We know what you're thinking, wouldn't the Ryzen 9 7950X3D outperform the 7800X3D in gaming? Again, no. The Ryzen 9 7950X3D features a 3D V-cache technology. This bolsters the amount of cache available to the CPU, which can significantly improve performance in games that are bottlenecked by traditional cache limitations. However, not all games rely heavily on cache access. If a game is more dependent on clock speed or core count, the extra cores of the 7950X3D won't be a huge advantage, thus making the 7800X3D similar in performance, since no games require the number of cores that a 7950X3D has. Going back to the power supply, an 850 watt PSU would be enough, making the 1200 watt PSU an overkill. On top of that, we got a 4070 Super for our value build, which is what allowed it to perform around 70% better than our overpriced build. All that considered, this is the importance of not overspending on your gaming rig. And there you have it, folks. Tips on how to avoid overspending when building your gaming rig. If you like this video and it helped you in any way, please do give it a like and hit the subscribe button. If you have a question or a product you want us to review, be sure to drop your recommendations in the comments below. Until next time, this is Mark signing off, reminding you to stay connected and updated with all of our research into everything that makes our tech rooms great.